And here we are. How are we, boys?
Hello.
Very
hello,
well,
hello.
thank you.
Excellent. I'm shattered. Very, very tired. And Owen was just trying to get me to work longer hours. So, Owen.
That's not what I was trying to say.
In my
I
head, when
wasn't
you
trying to
said
do
that, I basically said some swear words.
Believe me, if we had to bleep them all out, it would be a solid minute of just
be beep,
bleep sound.
beep, 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 which would be fun. So
I do actually have an audio clip of that sort of thing. An audio clip of
beeping?
going like beep, 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 beep.
It just reminds me too much of just everything being beeped out. You just never get a word in.
Exactly.
So welcome to Free to Talk TV. We've already got a first hello. Hello, Emma. Hello. Yes, if you are watching, please give us a hello. Please say hi. Please give us a like. Please give us a comment. Join in the conversation as we have it, because today we're going to be talking about what is blackfishing after what's happened in the news. We've heard with the Little Mix singer, ex-Little Mix singer, part of her solo album, Jessie Nelson. We're going to talk about a little bit of critical race theory as well, because critical race theory is an enigma in a confusing ball of twisty-turny Alice in Wonderland stuff, if I'm honest.
Wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Exactly. But before we go on, Owen, how's your week been?
My week's been not too bad. Had a very, very long weekend doing cover shifts and working till 1 a.m. But
Owen's now working for the man, working 9 till 5. What a way to make a living.
Sorry, it's not 9 till 5. It was 5 till 1 a.m. Though that was quite fun because let's just say someone paid for some wine gums, didn't eat them, and just left them in the theatre. I was like, yoink, thank you.
Oh, that's just Owen. That's horrible.
No. It's an unopened packet of wine gums.
Oh, okay. God, I just kind of thought about you like basically minesweeping the theatre. And hello, Richard. So Richard's not with us today because he's not feeling very well.
Oh.
He's very coffee, and Charlotte's
Get well soon, Richard.
Yeah,
get well soon.
So you got to deal with our 3 ugly mugs, which also is a bit annoying because trying to talk about blackfishing and critical race theory, obviously coming from us all white men, might be a difficult.
Yeah.
We'll try and be as empathetic and sympathetic as
possible.
Try. Yeah, we'll try. Kevin, how's your week been?
Very well, thank you. It's not really been that eventful, but it's going well. Just packing and stuff. So good stuff.
How have you managed to pack without the boxes you forgot to take earlier?
Do you know what? As I said that, I was like, I forgot the boxes.
Well, I've kept them there so you can pick them up tomorrow, Kevin. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Because I'm nice, really. Yes. So Kevin's packing. He's leaving us. He doesn't like me anymore. He's fed up.
No, I had enough of you lot.
Specky people.
Yeah.
He hates looking at his reflection in your bald head.
That's it.
Wow. Well, do you know what? That really escalated. Thanks, Owen. Thank you for that.
Sorry.
It's completely fine. So we're going to be talking about Jessie Nelson because she's been involved in a Twitter row, really. It's always Twitter and stuff that really happens. I'm just going to share it on the screen. So it's obviously the garden because I've just been to the garden first. So you boys have read up a little bit. I mean, Kevin, you mentioned it, but has any before today had anybody heard of blackfishing before?
No, definitely not.
No,
I have because it happened a while back to another, I guess, pop star, if you want to call them that.
Yeah, it was actually in the article who it was.
The one
Rita Ora,
and also Iggy Azalea, who is a white Australian woman.
Yeah. So Kevin or Owen, who wants to describe it first? From what you've read today about what you think it is.
Well, I can start it if you wish because I don't know much about it. I did a quick like skim read of like a definition of what blackfishing actually is. If I can find where I looked at it. I just looked on the website, the Urban Dictionary. That's what I just used.
Okay.
It's
I mean, the Urban Dictionary is where people normally go to find out rude words. So the fact that you're using it to find out what blackfishing is kind of...
well, out of all the other websites that I did quickly look on before we went live, none of them gave me it was all too like this, that, big word, this, that, get off.
Yeah, okay.
But from what I can consider it, from what I read on it, it was basically an individual who is from a particular background does something to themselves to make them stand out more, I think.
So so stand out more as a race race. I mean, I hate using that to describe it as so it's mainly used by white people to present themselves as being a person of color. Basically. Yeah. Carry on, Owen. Anything else to add? And
from what I read, it's that people notice it, and then they basically what, just to make a light of the situation, it's basically why Richard is not on Twitter, because people then realize about it and try and escalate it even further, because apparently they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing.
Right. Okay. So
that's sort of what I've read up upon. I might be wrong, but
yeah, I think there's a few things you might be missing there, Owen. Kevin, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think from what I've read, it's when majority white people from white background portray being like you say black or whatever and they do it so that kind of for popularity, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
they're gaining from what in the past maybe black people has held them back, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think it's so blackfishing is what Kevin said there. Present yourself as a person of color or mixed race, so black or mixed race, when in fact you're white, and you take on all the benefits, so the styles, the haircuts, the whatever, the popularity, but without any of this discrimination that came from those individuals, the racism they suffered and whatnot. But I feel like this particular story with Jessie Nelson is one of those stories that's like in such a grey area. I'm not sure you can say it either way. But actually, so hello, my mate Chris has just come up. But he just brought up a very good point, because we're going to talk about this. Really goes down to blackfishing is cultural appropriation. So there's a professor of black studies in the US who fakes being black for 25 years, and it was exposed last year. That's a good example. That's blackfishing, right?
Right.
In the case of Jessie Nelson, now they're saying basically because she's got curly hair and she's got a tan, she's blackfishing. Now, the music video from this particular song, a solo song, there's a lot of context that's missed. So let's go through what we think is an example of definite blackfishing or cultural appropriation. Owen, have you got any ideas? So I'll bring up that other, so this did happen. A professor of black studies in the US faked being black for 25 years.
Right. I would say see, I don't know what type of lifestyle black people do, because they might be doing something that is completely different to what I do every day, and they have traditions or something like that, and I don't know that. So I can't exactly think of a good example of what a white individual who would deliberately choose to show themselves into a different...
something else up there. I've just realised I was still sharing. Let me come out of that.
Okay.
So I think a good example is if let's sticking with music, for example. Now there was a Canadian reggae singer called Snow. I don't know if you ever heard of him, James.
Yeah, I've heard of
Owen,
Snow.
you
Yeah,
probably- and like in some of his music, he was you know, he would put on a like a Jamaican accent and stuff. And
Yeah.
this guy,
Ah,
you know, he's Canadian and he's a white guy, so he's almost trying to take on that culture that he is not from, you know, and
see, that seems like a good example. That
using
seems like
using
seems like
it to profit, if you like.
it's, you could say that's a more of a subtle way of
Oh, he
it,
didn't make it subtle.
no.
His
What I
accent was very
it's
clear.
it's more of a subtle way of doing it instead of having it as like a presental way of, like that professor that Chris mentioned in the chat. That Chris's way is that he described of what actually happened was a physical way. The Canadian singer is a bit more of a subtle way, because you could walk right past him and you wouldn't know he would have done that. Whereas it's like two different things, but they're both very clear examples.
Yeah. So I'm going to show another example. I don't know if anyone remembers that when Adele did this at the Notting Hill Carnival. So she, wore a Jamaican bikini and had her hair up. Is it Bantu? Sorry, I forget. I think it's Bantu. I'm trying to make sure I just say it right. Bantu nuts. Okay, so she put them up to celebrate the culture, and obviously, and got criticised for cultural appropriation, because the Bantu nuts are designed to stop black people's hair getting damaged. That's why they wear them. And she came out and said she apologised for it. And she swore about it in a tweet and stuff, and said, I obviously wasn't reading the room. I'm at fault. Do we think this is a good example of blackfishing? If say, for example, she didn't apologise, or cultural appropriation?
If she didn't apologise, then yeah, that's a very good, clear example of it. But if she apologised, then she clearly, like she mentioned in that, clearly misread the room and apologised straight away for it, and she takes responsibility for it, and that's what you need to do, really.
Now, I'm also, talk about what I was looking up earlier was because I can't remember if it's on BBC or Channel 4, but there's this series of little shorts, and they do this thing where it's a white lad meeting up with a black friend on the street, and he says "Wagwan," right? Yeah. So I'm just going to share the Urban Dictionary there. I have to keep zooming in. Hello, Lawrence. Yeah, I've seen your post. I'm just going through this first. So, and it's obviously used by it's roadmen or gangs, and it comes from Top Boy. That's probably why people are saying it a lot. Now, in the BBC or Channel 4 one, obviously that language is challenged by the black lad who's being greeted, but I don't think because it's just a black centric or word, but because of its use in gangs. So obviously that white boy is presuming that the black guy belongs to a gang. I think that's the more issue, but I could be wrong about that. So let's go back to Little Mix, but we'll go through Lawrence's. So it says, Ola, by the way. So flip side, if people of colour wear tweed, are they whitening themselves? She likes the style and fashion. Is that bad? So this is, I think, where the difficulty comes in, and why Jessie Nelson has ended up in this grey area. Because, and also with us, because Lawrence, you're a white man as well. We're all white men. And I think it's very difficult for us to presume anything because we don't know about anyone's individual experience. Kevin and I work with Mark from Inspiration FM and Sam, who's another youth worker, both black, both had very different experiences, I think, of their culture and everything, and racism first and forward. So I think we have to be very careful here. That's what I'm going to say. But when we questioned Mark about this morning, he was like, I don't care. So I think you got to take this. This is not all black people, just like it's not all white people, just like it's not all Asian people, blah, blah, blah. But we'll go through it and we'll try and break it down. So the video she was in It's a video called for a song called Boys, and she's been accused of blackfishing because she basically dressed up in a particular way, had her hair in a particular way, had a tan, which people say that's just fake tan shit. Well, actually, I just came back from holiday and I've just got a good tan. But also, she was criticised for it for absolutely kind of, should we say, making a mockery of black culture. Should we say a bit?
I think
I was getting ready. I was about to go. What do you think?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. The thing. So let's just ignore everything for a minute and look at the music video itself. So I hadn't seen the music video, but I heard the song, which is like a dub over of a song P Diddy did years ago.
Yeah.
And then I was talking to Mark actually, and he said that it's a really good video because it's in the same style as that video 20 years ago or whenever it was. So actually, although yes, you know, what she is wearing is in the style of that video, I think if anything, she's paying homage to that video because like P Diddy's in that video as well.
Yes, he is.
The new one. So obviously, you know, clearly he's got no issue with that video.
No.
But again, you know, it's quite hard because everything I'm saying right now, I'm saying this as a white male. I'm saying this as a white male.
Yeah.
But I understand. I don't understand. What I'm trying to say is I appreciate that people don't like it when people are blackfishing. And I can understand why that would annoy people. From what I heard from the media, I was expecting a lot worse.
Yeah.
And then I watched the video and I was like, well, actually, I've definitely seen worse. Like, and worse things that no one's ever commented about.
Yeah. I mean, so I haven't watched the whole video, so I've just stopped this still there, right? And I've automatically gone, this is the P Diddy video. Because I remember it, right? And I can exactly see what she's trying to do. So it features Nicki Minaj as well, who's come out and completely supports her. I mean, that's a bit, I don't know, you know, kind of some of the styles it's basically a big grey area for me, I think.
But what I'm saying is you could also argue, especially that still you just clicked on where she's on the bike and she's got the bucket hat and stuff. If you look at some of Miley Cyrus's videos, like from about 7 years ago, she was wearing the exact same things.
Yeah. But is that because we become more aware of it and challenge it more, or?
I think you're probably right. I think people are, especially with what happened over lockdown, I think people are more aware of things at the moment. I also think that, obviously I have to be careful with what I say, but I also feel that because social media is a lot bigger these days, I think one person pipes up and it gets jumped on a lot because actually from the other side of things, Jessie is someone who has suffered really bad with mental health from online trolls and bullying. And now for this to come out, you know, you also have to think like, okay, maybe she was in the wrong, whatever.
Yeah.
But all this abuse that she's getting for it, that's also not okay.
No, it's not on.
Right, so I'm just going to go to Lawrence. I'm just going to bring this up first because he's impressed with your historical knowledge of Miley Cyrus videos. So Lawrence, he can only speak of his heritage, which is Maori. So when he sees a tribal tattoo, it winds him up, and I get shouted down to be quiet. Now I completely understand that. Now just point out, Loz, you have seen this. It's not tribal. I specifically said it. It's not tribal. But yeah, I mean that you could argue that is a form of culture appropriation, just like having a Chinese symbol written on you. But because you get wound up by it, Lawrence, is it bad? You know, can that style of tattoo, which is, I know it's a tribal tattoo, but people can reinterpret the art, can't they, and do it in a different way and put it on. There's another thing you said. Oh,
sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I was just thinking, like, how you know, your friend saying that, I totally agree that you know, I understand why he would be frustrated with that. But how far do we go with that? Because if I'm, you know, for those who don't know, I'm from Holland. You know, if you go to one of the proper touristy things, everyone's wearing clogs. You know, but my granddad wears clogs in the field when he's doing his potatoes.
Yeah.
You know, I know this is just so far from what we're talking about, but you know, at some point as well, it is, you know, that's cultural still. Like that's very much embedded in the Dutch culture. I guess the difference here is that no one's trying to make money, you know, from that,
pretending to be Dutch.
Exactly, and we haven't been, you know, repressed for hundreds of years. So I'm gonna just finish my own argument there. That's a stupid...
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah,
so I'm just going to a few more things Lawrence said. So Bad Barbie has been accused of blackfishing, and 10 years ago, artists of black descent were encouraged to lighten their faces to get more support and acceptance. Because that's true. There was like face whitening or lightening products being sold in Africa because it was, you know, to lighten your skin was seen as the done thing. But also he's brought up a very good point. So because obviously we're looking at this and trying in today's context. So is this of age? We look with horror at the black and white minstrel show now, but how far are we going? So Kevin or Owen, do you know what the black and white minstrel show is?
No, I've never heard of that.
Right. So it's quite possibly one of the most horrible periods of British television. But you've heard of the term blackface, haven't you? Like white people, black, they're black. So it was on TV, and it's called the Black and White Minstrel Show, and it was all white people with blackface doing dance and singing acts with no black people whatsoever. I think, I mean, when did it stop?
Hopefully, it stopped abruptly.
Well, it was very successful for a very long time.
Seriously?
Yeah, so it started in 1958, right? Yeah, and it ended in 1978.
20 years.
So in the grand scheme of things, I mean that's you know, so we say 40 years ago. Yeah, it ended just before I was born, but that's still it's a short space of time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really?
That's
you thinking it?
That's equivalent of how old I am. 20 years of running.
Well, 20 years it was running, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was seen as accepted. Now, obviously, it was challenged. I think it was really bad when it's, you know, broadcast in colour as well. And
Ooh, yeah. If it was broadcast in colour, then obviously they're going to get a few looks. But if it was still in black and white, then I think I can see why they were getting away with it. Yeah.
And you both know what a gollywog is as well, don't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I mean, I completely hate them, but in some areas of the UK, they're still sold now, which is very true. So Lawrence has just finished this. He doesn't see tribal tattoos as bad, but if you didn't get it done properly, get it done. Precisely how far we can't stop people appreciating other cultures. I mean, this is another point, I think, which we need to bring up with going back to Jesse, is so Nicki Minaj was in the video.
Yeah.
P. Diddy had a cameo in the video. And from some of the little bits I've seen in the video, it just seems like it's a homage to the original video.
I was about, do you know, and I was thinking about this as well, because it's different to 40 years ago, for example. Like, because now we live in such a multicultural UK, you know, and Jessie, for example, has said that she's grown up on you know, R&B and rap.
Yeah.
And actually, if you think about some of the areas just in Northampton, you know, kids these days, they have so much different cultural influences because they've got friends who are English, they've got friends who are Polish, they've got friends who come from Eastern Europe, from Africa, you know, people from India and Pakistan, like, and there's so much of a different culture because, you know, people aren't just staying separate anymore these days. You know, people are mixing in schools and being friends with each other and, you know, starting to get that influence of different cultures. So it's one of those that actually, when you look at, it's almost like looking at two different cultures. So you've got your home culture and what you've come from,
Yeah,
and then actually your culture from school and your friends. Like that's almost a whole new culture, you know, because it's got a mix of everything, but it's still got to be done with appreciation and with respect, I think, if that makes sense.
I mean, yeah. So, I mean, just Lawrence just said, I sound rather mature for a change. You do. It's good. You're obviously mellowing in your old age.
He sounds mature the majority of the time with most of the comments he gives us, like
No.
difficult ones.
No, the comments I show you, he sounds mature. I mean, because it's keyed into my own personal Facebook. And there's a lot of posts he puts up that I don't show.
Right.
So, I mean, Nicki Minaj has defended Jessie here. And she said, I personally want to say that my intention was never ever to offend people of color with this video and my song, because like I said, growing up as a young girl, this is the music that I listened to. I mean, she's been called out for blackfishing in the past as well, as have many people like Kim Kardashian, Rita Ora, Iggy Azalea. You said that, Kevin. Yeah. Ariana Grande.
And in some respects, I think they have been called out rightfully so. For example, Rita Ora. She was quite big when I was, I don't know, like 17.
Yeah.
And I generally thought that she was mixed race. I thought, you know, that her parents came from somewhere in Africa, or you know, she had black parents. But it was only recently that I learned that she's born in Kosovo and has Albanian roots. So I can understand that to some extent.
Yeah. So the Kosovan thing. So I mean, I think are we kind of maybe agreeing here that the kind of blackfishing or cultural appropriation, yes, it does exist, but in the case, it gets very muddy and difficult when people are basically making money off it or making a living off it by presenting themselves as being different than they actually are.
And I think that's what it draws down to. You know, was Jessie being different to what she has come from? Or is this actually her in her everyday life and has been?
I mean, so
is it just a homage to the original video, like you've said?
Yeah, but I think it's
now
homage.
that you talk about it like that way, I can understand the scene of it being a homage to the original video. I'm not much of into the music myself, but if you've seen the original video and you see this video and that you see the actual contrast in it, I think a lot of people would agree with what Kevin said, that it's actually a homage to it, giving it a little bit of a revamp because of its newer times, but keeping it still a nice little remembrance of what once was.
I mean, the original is much better, but
well, you could argue say that a lot about films, but
it's true.
Then again, they're making a new Halloween film, which is coming out this month. But anyway, James.
So Lawrence has got a few other points. So hold on, she's not mixed race. Kosovo Albania is mixed, just a different mixed race.
Very true.
Yes, it is true, but I think we can all agree in the context when we say mixed race, people always normally mean a mix of black and something else, don't they? Really?
But
that's the difficulty.
There's another thing. Should we normalize that as well?
Should we normalize it? Yeah.
Because you know, like he's got a point.
I mean, he has got a point, but I think this is down to individuals. I think it's important to ask people how they wish to be addressed. Just like we're dealing with people coming out as being non-binary because it validates themselves. I actually had a visit in King's Heath from someone who just wanted to talk to someone like a youth community, and they presented as non-binary and just wanted validation, that their opinion was right and correct, which it is. If they, you know, that's how they want to be addressed. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think in this case with the mixed race, I mean, I've got a really good friend, Maxine, who, I mean, in all honesty, she refers to herself as milk chocolate. That's what she does. She chocolate. She has done that in the past. I haven't seen her in a while. That's how she refers to herself, and she's okay with that. But obviously, not everyone will be okay with that at all. And Lawrence has got another bit. So talking about some other programs that are on BBC being dropped from the BBC On Demand service are actually dubbed to appease current references. If we go out to offend, fine. You're a me, but come on, a little bit of common sense. So I mean, that's again, this is where the grey area comes in. I think with Jesse,
such a grey area,
and I think we're right to have these conversations though, because we're working it out. We're working out what is comfortable for everybody to get along. I'm kind of in a bit of agreement with Loz about being dubbed or being taken down, because they are there, but you have to show common sense. But that's, the broadcasters just protecting themselves from getting sued
lawsuits,
by crazy mum or dad or something. I think. So yeah, it's a difficult one. But I'm going to show you this little picture here. So we've got Kim Kardashian arriving at Paris Fashion Week. So this is a good example. So dreads or cornrows. Now, I remember there being a bit of shouting a few years ago about white people having dreadlocks being cultural appropriation. Do we have any opinions on that?
I think it's a style. It may have a particular background of where the style comes from and who traditionally wears it. But if you like the style and want to try it, and you find out that you kind of like that style, then realistically speaking, you do have the right to have that style, right? So, because you'd want to
just got to put that up from Loz. He had surfer blonde dreads, so I think I remember those, Loz, actually.
But yeah, but for a hairstyle, I feel that's a bit less of a worry, because you're allowed to style your hair however you want because of your own personality. Yes, people might say you can't wear that because of its traditional background. Understandable, they're allowed to say that. But if you like that style, then I'm going to use this term. You're allowed to rock the style.
Yeah.
I've got a friend who I used to go to college with, and he had like braided sort of his hair sort of thing into like little strands, sort of like it was only little tiny little things, but it was clearly not a style that he would wear. But if he liked that style, I supported that. So I think when it comes to hairstyles and stuff like that, for instance, from the post you just showed, I think that's okay. That's okay, because you're allowed to do whatever you'd like with your own body and your own hair. If you are going to be doing black facing like that, black and white minstrel thing, was it that TV show? That's a good example of not a very good way of showing it. That's a very bad way of doing it.
Yeah, blackface is very bad.
Blackface is a very bad thing to do. I didn't even realize that was a thing, to be honest. I didn't even know blackface was even a thing. So now I see it. I in my head, I've got several different things that I've seen that had that style, and I'm like, how the hell have they been able to get away with that now? How have they been able to get away with it?
It's a weird one. I mean, so she was warned by her other bandmate. Is it Leah Ann? Yeah, Leah Ann Pinnock, about this blackfishing. But Nicki Minaj has come out and said, well, she's just jealous of your success and get this music video. So it's he said, she said in quite a few ways, I think.
I think it's one of those things where people are never going to agree on it. I think we're all trying to be so politically correct, which in some cases we really need to be. In some cases, the world, civilization has gone too long without addressing issues. However, I think at times there is a bit of a culture that also stuff gets mentioned that actually maybe doesn't need mentioning. And I'm not talking in a sense of racism or anything like that in general. I just think in general there are times that certain people will shout loud about something when the majority are a bit like, not sure if that needed to be shouted about.
Yeah.
I think the important thing is that we're never going to agree, and that actually we are all entitled to our own opinion. I think, you know, the whole argument of, oh, we've still got free speech. Yeah, we do. But I think when you cross that line, that the free speech starts to not offend people, but actually is quite hateful and can be rather upsetting, you know, because anyone could be offended. You know, James can say, oh, I hate people with hair, and that can offend me. But okay,
I do.
But actually, if he's discriminating against me, like not letting me in his house because I have hair, then it's a different story. And I think
no. I'm not letting you in my house because you're a weird stalker, Kevin. There's
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but that's the thing, like, because, you know, and I think some people shout loud without doing a lot of research about stuff, and I think that's where it gets dangerous. Because, you know, like the question about dreads, you know, there are European civilizations who have also had dreadlocks.
Yeah. And Vikings is a good example.
Exactly. And apparently, I just Googled it because I didn't want to say something that wasn't true. Not that Google's always right, but apparently, dreads can date back to Crete and Greece times, where it was the earliest known use of it. So, if you're sporting the the colors of, the African colors, that what is it, the gold, the green and the red,
for Jamaica,
full tracksuit, and you're dreadlocked up as a white guy, maybe think about it. But actually, if you're like your mate, because in the surfing community, having surfed once before, that is part of the style as well, having dreads and going out surfing. Like, it's there are different cultures that have a lot of different a lot of similarities to other cultures.
I get what you're saying. So I mean, I'm just going to bring up this to finish off the blackfishing thing. So the term apparently come from Twitter in 2018 when a journalist told CNN, blackfishing is when white public figures, influencers and the like do everything in their power to appear black, whether that means to tan their skin excessively in an attempt to achieve ambiguity, or wear hairstyles and clothing trends that have been pioneered by black women. Instead of appreciating black culture from the sidelines, there's the need to own it, to participate in it without wanting the full experience of blackness and the systemic discrimination that comes from it. So I'm just going to jump in with some of the words there. So wear hairstyles and clothing trends that have been pioneered by black women, which really means you can't listen to any music, you can't wear any hairstyles, you can't do anything. So I think we've solved it there. Let's just not do anything. Let's have no creativity whatsoever.
And that seems how it's going to be at the moment and that's what I'm trying to point across. Like, I mean, for those who don't know me, this sounds really bad, but I mean, you can ask James. I'm very much for social justice, and I lean definitely more to the left side of everything. However, I do think that stuff like history and other people. So I'm someone that I don't want to shout down someone else's opinion. I'd rather talk about it, and I want to talk together, even though I think their opinion is horrible and racist and whatever. It's no good me just shouting at them, telling they're wrong. Only with conversation are we ever going to get anywhere further. And if anyone feels that I've said something ridiculous, feel free to tell me, because I'd love to have that conversation as well. Because if I'm saying, if there's someone who's like, actually, you're talking a load of rubbish now, tell me, talk to me. Don't just at me. But like,
I mean, we're definitely not denying that the racism happens. Everyone's experience. I mean, it still exists for 100%. Definite. You could argue that it's not as bad as it used to be, I suppose.
Or it's more hidden.
Or it's more hidden. But we're not trying to belittle that at all.
No.
I should add. So, I mean, Lawrence has got. I'm going to challenge you on this comment. And I think it'll be interesting to put it to these boys as well. So he says 3 friends have ruined Bond for him. He's just arguing. There's now calls for facial deformity to not be used in movies. Is that another issue with political correctness?
Gosh, I read about this. This makes me angry.
Tell me, Kevin. Go for it.
It just makes me angry because we could just argue this for days and days. Like, someone has got offended and now we can't do this. Someone's got offended and we can't do this. Now, if there's someone like, I think my issue with this is, okay, if there is someone with a facial deformity that is saying, you know what, I'm annoyed at that Bond film because they did a mask and they could have used an actor who has a facial deformity, then yes, fair enough. Because, okay, you know, that, but, you know, I think let's not get rid of everything. Let's not make everything perfect because the world isn't. So instead of saying we should never put anyone with a facial deformity in a program, maybe argue get an actor who actually has a just like it's a big thing about people who are disabled not getting the roles that they deserve, kind of thing, you know?
I support that. I completely support that. As I am an actor, technically speaking, unemployed, but I completely support the fact that if you are looking for someone who's disabled, who has a facial deformity, or has something unique about them that you could say they didn't have a choice in having, but they still keep moving forward because they want to show that they are empowered enough. And if we use the example of being an actor who wants to be performing in that, and they're looking for someone who has that thing, I completely support someone getting that role instead of me. I completely support it because they have what they want. But obviously sometimes it's not what they have on the outside, it's what they have capability-wise of how they say some words, how they portray it. So Rami Malek, for instance, who was the main villain for Bond, not seen Bond yet, though I accidentally walked in at the very, very end of it when I was cleaning my shift. No. Trust me, I'm more annoyed about that. Anyway, I've seen the trailers. I know he's got some sort of mask or makeup on to show a damaged face. That's just makeup. And that is just makeup used to make it more aesthetic and make it more realistic. But you've got to remember, at the end of the day, this is a character. This isn't what he looks like.
Yeah.
It's like the same for when he played. I'm using Rami Malek as a good example. He played Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
He played Freddie Mercury. He had prosthetic teeth to make his lip look bigger and have to make his teeth much more pronounced, like Freddie Mercury's actual teeth was. Finding those exact details of what you want an actor to look like for a particular role, like Kevin said, it's not going to be perfect. I think that's what you said, wasn't it? It's not going to be perfect.
Yeah. So I just want to jump in because of time.
Fine.
I want to ask you, Kevin and Lawrence. So do you know the context of why this has been called out? Do you know any of the background, why it's been called out and who called it out?
I know it was somewhat. I think the lady who called it out herself had a facial deformity. Am I correct? Yeah.
Yes, but do you know why she called it out?
No, I don't know why she called it out.
See, that's the issue. This is why I wanted to challenge Lawrence. So, because obviously, Lawrence, you've said it's like political correctness, but Lawrence, do you know why she called it out? Really? I mean, the issue I've got with this is obviously in lots of media bits. Thank you, Lawrence. Yes, so this is the case. So the link is that in Bond, historically, almost every villain has got some kind of facial deformity.
That's a good point, actually.
Meaning they're the bad guy. Now, that's what she's been calling out. So the link with villainy and deformity, or villainy and disfigurements, blah, blah, blah. And I completely agree with that. Right? That link should be really kind of done with, unless it's very important to some kind of backstory.
Yeah.
In this case, in the Bond film, I mean, I haven't seen it either, but I have done a little bit of reading on why he's got the disfigurement, and I can understand why they gave him the disfigurement in the context of that character's backstory. But without seeing the film, I don't know whether that is meant to have caused him to be the villain, or they've just done what they quite often do. They've given someone some kind of deformity to make them look more monstrous, i.e. the villain. That's what they've done. So I think,
And I think
Yeah.
that's right. It is important to have that context, because with that context now, I think, you know what, that's a fantastic point. You can't just assume that everyone with a face, deformity, therefore must be the bad guy. And that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, you've got to think that a lot of other TV shows and films nowadays have other villains who don't have that sort of capability, have deformities. They are how they show themselves, and they use their voices and their facial expressions in a different way to show villainous characters. Yes, in Bond films, it's very traditional that they have had some sort of deformity, but you can say that a few Bond villains didn't have that at all.
I mean, it is about context. So, I mean, I'm just going to finish off that idea of when we talk about political correctness. I don't think that is political correctness coming in, really, personally. I just think it's someone challenging the status quo of one of the most successful action film franchises in the world and their portrayal of people with disfigurements. I think that's just the context. I mean, I also need to add that, does anyone know the actor Gary Oldman? So Gary Oldman is is an absolutely prolific actor.
Gary Oldman
is probably my favorite actor of all time, because you'll watch stuff and never know it's him. So he played Dracula in a Dracula film. He's
The Darkest Hour is a good example.
Commissioner Gordon in some of the Batman films, all this kind of stuff.
Sirius Black from Harry Potter.
Yes, Sirius Black from Harry Potter. Now, one of his worst film roles, he played someone with dwarfism. And he played that character by walking around on his knees. And it's not okay. It's just, that's not okay. So, but it's about 10, 15 years old, that thing. So I think, but I think, yes, Lawrence, I don't think it's political correctness. I think we just need to change a bit of times.
It all depends on context, doesn't it, really?
Context, I think, is
that's key.
Now, I don't think we've got time really to talk about critical race theory. So maybe I think I want to talk about it. I think because it's a very complex conversation, but I might do that for next week and see if I can get Sam or Mark to come on. How about that?
Sounds good.
Yeah, does that sound good? Because I think it's an important conversation to have, really, about what it is and talk about it. Right, so there we go. We've come to the end. I've got one little piece of news that I want to share, which I should point out is true. So, but before I share it, so this is news that a Navy engineer, right, in the United States Navy, has been trying to pass intelligence to a foreign agent, right? But I want you to guess. Oh, there we go. But hello again, Owen. But I want you to guess.
That's the second time that's happened.
I want you to guess how he was doing it. So a Navy engineer has been accused of trying to pass intelligence to a foreign agent, but how?
Carrier pigeon.
Carrier pigeon?
Just lobbed pigeons at him.
Right.
Context, please.
Context. So it's just a weird. Oh look, Richard said pigeon as well. So it's an American Navy engineer, and he's been accused by the government of slipping information to a foreign agent. But how? How is the important thing?
So is he on like a naval reconnaissance vessel?
You don't think too much about it just at all. Just how is he passing the information?
I'm going for Sherlock on this. Okay.
I'd like to change my answer. In pot noodles.
In pot noodles, right. Okay, so Lawrence has put Morse code, WhatsApp, or Tinder. Okay.
Tinder. Hey, I'm just hooking up with you to give you illegal information.
Quick, where's your guess?
Okay. Xbox communication.
Xbox Live. That's a good one. I like that.
I want to say
Live.
that Kevin is probably the closest to this. Because actually he's been accused of doing it in a peanut butter sandwich.
Amazing.
I just need to point out this is real news.
Yeah.
And he's been arrested in West Virginia. Yeah. He's been working with the Navy since 2012. So, I mean, the most ridiculous story I've read that I found on Reddit from a place called Not the Onion. Everyone heard of The Onion, which is meant to be made up stories? I highly recommend it. Look up The Onion. It's meant to be made up stories. In other news, Americans are mental. Well, yeah, in little ways. And so actually, Lawrence, going back to James Bond just briefly, remember when you could tell who the bad guy was with British accent, glasses, and bald head? I don't know what you're talking about. Whatever. Right. So yeah, let's go through our fun things for the week. What we've most enjoyed. Kevin, you first. Anything you want to share?
What have I enjoyed this week? My wife and I went on a lovely walk in the forest in Halston Firs, and it's really nice. It's like very nice and warm, but starting to be autumn, and it just felt really nice. So it was a lovely evening walk.
Halston Firs is a lovely little forest to go to. It is definitely beautiful. You got the nice little wood factory just around the corner up the road.
It's just great.
You get to smell some fresh cut wood as well, and that's quite nice when you're there.
Smell great, yeah.
It does.
And your dog just running off into the distance.
I don't see my dog when I walk her in Halston Firs because she's always after a squirrel.
Right, before I do yours, Owen, I'm just going to do Richard's. He found Love with Hell's Kitchen is his new favourite show.
Oh, I love Hell's Kitchen.
I do like Hell's Kitchen. And Lawrence, you hugged a rescued panther called Bagheera. Wow. I mean, where?
Wow.
That sounds amazing.
That's really cool. That kind of kills all of ours, doesn't it?
Yeah. You wait. I mean, what's yours?
Oh, God. Okay, so for the last week or so, just helping out my cousin who lives not too far away from me because she's busy. Her partner is very busy, and her daughter is at school still. Yeah. She has a little tiny dog. Doesn't get out very much. So a lot of the times he's going to the bathroom, as it were, in the kitchen or the conservatory, and it's getting very frustrating. So just in my normal morning routine now, I walk my dog in the morning, I take my brother to college, then I go over and give him a walk. And to be honest, just giving him a nice little walk around and the little park, no matter what, just makes me feel good. It just makes me really nice, because I get to see some other dogs that I've never seen before. I've got an individual that I see every time now at the park. I don't know his name, but all I refer to him as Pink Hat Guy. He literally has a hat like this, but pink. Right. And I'm just like, hey, it's Pink Hat Guy.
Oh, see, and Loz said you win. You're a proper gent.
He's got a pink guy, and he's got like a small little dog called Roy, and he's absolutely lovely.
Roy.
That's a hell of a dog name, isn't it? Roy.
Yeah, hell of Roy. But he looks like a West Island White Terrier, but yeah. But cooler.
Right, so I've got a basic one. The girlfriend and I picked up a new wardrobe yesterday. Really simple. Nice. But I had something come up on my Facebook memories from 4 years ago. The before times when we were allowed out and had fun. It's me skateboarding.
Oh gosh.
Oh my God.
I don't know who I've shown this to. So this is the old, this is the old skate park.
And it's right outside my old secondary school as well.
Yeah, right outside the old secondary school. So I'm just gonna check I've got the volume up. Yeah, I'm just gonna let it play.
I think I've seen this.
I'm gonna put my glasses on and watch this in all 4K.
I really don't like this.
Yeah, you do.
Who's filming you, James?
A youth worker called Daddy.
Oh, brilliant.
Should we watch that again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
you do.
You didn't lean forward enough, James.
I didn't lean forward, did I? No.
That is commitment, mate. Fair play to you. I wouldn't have done that.
So yeah, the things we do for young'uns at youth work. That's kind of what we do. Yes, Lars, I'm not old enough to know better, but it is really funny. And Richard just said that was last time James on the skateboard. Actually, it was. Right, but thanks to those that have come and joined us, Lawrence, Richard, and Emma saying hello. Oh, Dillis! Show us Dillis!
Dennis.
Dillis! Dillis!
Hello.
Hey!
Dillis is a lovely dog.
I'm normally done by work by now, so she's like, "Is it time for me to go out, guys?"
Yeah. Dillis, squirrels! Squirrels! Oh, I shouldn't respond to it yet.
Oh.
Mr. King.
Oh.
He's gone.
I thought the computer was going to go then. Right. Yeah, but anyway, thank you, boys. Kevin and Owen, I shall see you at a later date, maybe in a week. Who knows? But say goodbye to everybody on the stream.